Hi, everyone. Thank you, Sia, for organizing this. Thank you for being here, and thanks for 11D for making this possible. I'm here to talk about how I use and maybe how you can use 11D to rapidly build front-end components for websites that might not be ultimately built in 11D. You might be using some other content management system for the actual product but building out front-end components before fighting with the CMS. I'm a little about me. I'm Michael Delaney. I'm a web developer. I really like the web. I think the web is really cool, and the way that it is open and free and anyone can publish to it is one of the coolest things about it. 11D makes that super easy to do, and it's one of the things I like about 11D. I've been a professional web developer for about 25 years, depending on how you count it. And I've always worked in design agencies, building small and like brochure and e-commerce sites for small and medium businesses, the kind of sites that you turn around 2 or 3 a month at a design agency. I really, really like 11D. I think it's my favorite of all of these sort of Jamstacky tools. But I often find myself working in whatever CMS of the week that the agency is working in, WordPress or lately some Umbraco and Kentico, and those can be um, harder to work with than 11T. No, hang on. Uh, more challenging to work with than 11T for front end development, which I can talk about, which is sort of the subject of what I'm going to talk about next. Why? Why are we doing this? Why use another tool instead of just building in WordPress or building in whatever templating system? Here's why I have found this useful. Agency designers who are cranking out 2, 3 sites a month of designs love making unique components for those sites, different stripes for the website to have. If it's a bank website, it's going to have this, all the way down the site, a slider here, a slider there, a third slider, another slider. It's always usually sliders. And I can't blame them. They want to make their site stand out. But I find that because of that, I am very frequently building this very similar components over and over with slight differences, because this one has a full width background. This one doesn't. This one's got an image halfway or whatever. And another thing so that can be a challenge for working rapidly in directly in WordPress or other content management systems. Modeling data can also be really complicated in WordPress to get it done quickly. Sometimes if you're just trying to build out your navigation bar, you have to create all the pages so that they exist, so that they can be put into the navigation before you can actually get around to putting the nav together to seeing if you can even do what the designer has requested you to do with the navigation. So again, modeling data is much harder. Creating all the custom fields, entering all the content can take a lot longer, especially if you're working at the speed that the agency life often works at. Maybe the sitemap isn't approved yet. Maybe we don't know the content that's going to go in all these fields yet. By the time we want to start working on this part of the project. Depending on the CMS, it can be challenging to see work as you're working. So if you just want to jam through whatever front end problem that you're trying to solve, sitting there and waiting for whatever database and application are working together to show your content in a browser can just be longer than you might want it to be, than 11T is typically. And then one of the other cool things about the why, is at the end of this process of building your front end components in 11T first, you get a free Git trapped maintainable style sheet documentation site at the end of it that you can then use as, here's how we broke out all of the stuff that was in the Figma design, and here's how it will work, and separate from the content management system implementation, which may or may not be the same. If you then have to implement those components in another system, like a landing page system, or you have half your site in Shopify, and you need to implement those components more than once, it can be nice to have a known good, always working copy of the component somewhere else. So what are we using? What am I going to show you? I'm going to show you a setup that I use that is mostly based around a 0 point, which is an 11D starter that I keep. If you're interested, there's a link in the bottom right there. Get0point.com. The I keep this starter so that I can spend less time building my starter and more time actually building my website. That's the biggest thing that I do with it. I've created a custom collection in 11T for components so that I can build them so that I can reference them and loop through them, a style sheet to loop through them and show them, and Bootstrap for ergonomics so that I can show you a rapidly building stuff without also building out a style sheet. So let's see it already. Here is the typical setup that I'll use when building out components this way. Um, on the right, there's a browser. I don't usually keep a browser here, but this little tab helps me keep this all in one screen share for all of you. The component that you're looking at here should be relatively familiar to if you've worked in 11T before. This is a nunchucks file with front matter at the top and body content in the body section. This is a call out. This creates this component here. This is everything it needs. The data is at the top, the content's in the middle. So, but we're going to build one out rapidly. So here's the actual process. And the scenario that I'm imagining is that we're working from, let's say, a Figma file or Figma design that has a bunch of components on a style sheet or in the design that you have to now turn into a website. So to build out a new component, we're gonna give it a title of some time. This is some kind. This is going to be like a text and image component, text on the left, image on the right, or vice versa, with a link, sort of a call to action kind of a deal. The title is going to be text and image. Copilot's going to do some of the work here to make this talk a little faster, but you can type it all out, I promise. It's going to have a heading. We're going to say that this is. I'm just going to type. Rather than talking this through, I'm going to type some of this front matter and get it all typed out. Then we can talk about the actual template. Heading is. Let's do image. All right, so there's some front matter. That's what I know. Shush. I know I know from, let's say, again, in our imagined scenario, I'm looking at a design in Figma. I know that it's got a heading. I know that it's got a content section. I know it's got an image, and I know that the image can be left or right. So now I'm going to build the HTML for that. This is probably all of it, isn't it? Almost. Let's be a little bit more specific than Copilot wants to be here. And that's enough for that article. I'm so good at typing when no one's watching me. Sure. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so now hit save, and we should have, and we have a problem. What is our problem? Oh, the image. Let's just get rid of it for now. We can hit save and we can see over here, sorry, over here on our style sheet, we have the very beginnings of a component. What I meant to show you before, and I'm sure that we can very cleverly edit this back into the front of the video. No? Okay. Is that the style sheet has a little bit of quality of life going on for it. I can view each component separately, go back to the style sheet, view this one separately rather than seeing them on a list. This is almost here. But now we can see in a way that what I like about this process is now I can see exactly how far I am with what I've done from where I need to be with where I want this to be when I'm actually working, or when I bring it into the content management systems. It is possums. Still doesn't like it. I don't know why. I had this working in every time I demoed it. But I can move on from this, and we can let's do. There. Okay, there's our image. The cool thing about Thank you for laughing. The cool thing about this, okay, what I like about this process is, oh no, now I've learned that this component needs to come in more than one background color. The designer, I've looked ahead in the design, or we've gotten more revisions to the design, and now it has additional backgrounds. It's easy in a content management system like WordPress. I would need to go in and add more custom fields. I would need to model them. I would need to somehow deploy them, probably to get review on them, something like that, all before I could really see what it was going to look like, whether I even got my code right. What I could do in a situation like this is I know now that I need to be able to change the background. And let's give it some more padding. Now I can see it with that background. Now I can see it with that background. Now I can see it with that background, and it's easy to walk through like the different constraints you might have. Also, you can stress out the design. Let's give it a little more content, a little more than that. And oh, it turns out I actually want this to be centered. Let's get that more contrasty. But you can see the result of your work a lot faster. So this is what I like about this. This is essentially what I came on to show you. I apologize, the image thing didn't work. But I hope that showing this sort of rapid development of HTML and CSS and data very quickly is some way helpful. When I'm done with this component, what I would do is I know what data I need to model, and I know what template code I need to write, and I would take this and copy it into WordPress or whatever my content management system I'm using is, and change the nunchucks code to PHP code. And that gets me there faster. Maybe it would help you too. Thank you for your time. I hope that this was helpful. And if there's any questions, I don't know if we're going to do them now or at the whole end, but thank you. I've been Michael Delaney.